Some games are hard, some games are super hard, but some games take it a little too far and they just become plain unfair. What's up, guys? Welcome to Chaos Top 10s, and today we are going to be counting down the top 10 most unfair video games ever made. For this list, we're going to be looking at games that are beyond difficult, unbalanced, and in some cases, borderline impossible. You'll see what I mean once we get started, but before we do that, I'm running a $200 Amazon gift card the entire month of July. All you have to do to enter is like this video, be subscribed, turn on your notifications, and leave a comment why you want to win it with your Twitter handle attached. I will announce the winner at the end of the month on Twitter. Okay, kicking off this list at number 10 is a game called Space Ace. Say that 3 times fast. Back in the early 80s, there was an arcade game called Dragon's Lair, and it was awesome, blending gameplay and cartoon cutscenes to make one of the first truly cinematic video games ever. The creators of Dragon Lair later made a similar style game in the form of Space Ace, and it too was an awesome game. However, with the rise of home consoles and the success of the arcade game, Space Ace was soon ported to the Super Nintendo, and it was seriously one of the most unfair games out there. Because of the limited storage space of the SNES cartridges compared to the arcade cabinet, much of the gameplay had to be condensed, and the game ended up being extremely difficult and punishing because of it. The graphics had to be dumbed down, so much of that, it's almost impossible to see certain parts of the game. Plus, the arcade version's deep control scheme had to be greatly dumbed down to fit into the Super Nintendo controller, making it nearly unplayable. Don't play the SE and NES version of Space Ace, ever. You guys knew this one would be on here. At number 9, we have Dark Souls, and you may have expected it to be a little higher, but we decided to put it at number 9 due to the game's unfairness being more about an insanely high skill gap between players and veterans, new players that is. But you can't say that when you first started playing Dark Souls, you did not have any moments where you just didn't understand what killed you. Due to there being plenty of, why is he so strong, and he didn't even hit me moments in the series, it is more than deserving of at least the number 9 spot on this list. I've played this game so many times in the past. At number 8, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, we're not talking about the classic arcade game right now, which was awesome. We are talking about the NES classic TMNT side-scroller, released in 1989 alongside Season 2 of the classic TMNT show. This game was a huge success, and it's definitely gone down in gaming history as somewhat of a classic. However, you can't say that it was a fair game. The game is insanely trial and error based. It was nearly impossible to do on the first try, or honestly, second, third, 10th, whatever, regardless of how good you were. Plus, to make matters worse, when the game was ported over to PC, it was literally unbeatable. Seriously, it was unbeatable. There was an infamous moment in the game in the sewers where you have to make a jump from one platform to the next over a body of water. But in the PC version, this jump is impossible to make due to the gap between the platforms being way bigger in the PC version than in the console version, making Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on PC literally unbeatable without some kind of mod or hack. That, my friends, is the definition of unfair. At number 7, we have Resident Evil Survivor. Remember back when we did the second video on FPS games that shouldn't have ever been made? Well, there was a game on that list called Resident Evil Survivor, a light gun action game for the PlayStation 1 where you weren't even allowed to use the light gun. That makes sense, right? So what does this mean? Well, it means that instead of being able to move around super fast like you can in a light gun arcade game, you had to try and do these movements with the PS1 controller. As you could probably guess, this puts you at a massive disadvantage since the game was designed to be played with a light gun, but you played it with a controller. Obviously, it's an unfair game, and this game fits right into our list. Now, at number 6, I'm sure most of you had seen JonTron's video on this game. It's called TAKESHI'S Challenge. This is a bizarre game, and it's gone down in history as one of the hardest games ever made. Released in 1986 for the Nintendo Family Computer, does anybody remember that system? TAKESHI'S Challenge was way ahead of its time, as it was kind of an open-world side-scroller with tons of different outcomes and little to no instructions as to what you were supposed to do to help guideline you through the game. Only a handful of people have actually been able to beat this game. In fact, the package of the game has a warning telling the player not to use conventional gaming strategies or methods to play it. It was called one of the worst games ever because of how insanely difficult it is. But to modern gamers, TAKESHI'S Challenge was a huge milestone in the gaming industry. If you can, definitely go try the game. It's worth a shot, but I'm warning you guys right now, it is super, super, super unfair. Let's get a little Mortal Kombat love for all of you fighting game enthusiasts. At number 5, cracking into the top 5, Mortal Kombat 2. Now, fighting games are known for being difficult, and the MK games are known for having some super tough boss fights. But MK2 is so hard that it's downright unfair. Back in the early 90s, game balance hadn't really been established yet, causing many games to be unbalanced, and perhaps the most famous case of this was Mortal Kombat 2. So what was unfair about it, you may ask? Well, try playing the arcade ladder on the highest difficulty and then come back and tell me how it went for you. The CPU fighters use super cheat tactics, and they have way too much health, they do way too much damage, and I won't even get into the fights with Kintaro or Shao Kahn. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I remember trying like 50 times in a row. Thankfully, the Mortal Kombat games and video games in general have gotten much better at balancing in single-player modes. But if you want a true test of might, go try MK2 in the arcade ladder on the highest difficulty. We have a little bit of everything on this list. At number 4, we have one of the original survival horror games known as Clock Tower. It was released in 1995 for the Super Famicom, and this was a point-and-click game that followed a group of orphan girls as they are adopted by some creepy dude who brought them to life in a giant mansion that's being terrorized by a serial killer. Sounds intense, huh? Much like TAKESHI'S Challenge, the original Clock Tower game was super ahead of its time, with great atmosphere and very tense moments that clearly influenced horror games to come in the future. But also, like TAKESHI'S Challenge, Clock Tower is very trial and error based, and because of the great amount of options you are presented with, you're going to be making a ton of errors before you finally ever figure out what you're supposed to do. If you like horror games, you should play this game at least once, as it was definitely an important title for the genre, but chances are you won't have much fun with it after that first time. You probably won't make it. No, I'm not talking to you. I'm saying at number 3 is the game you probably won't make it. This indie game was released back in 2009 for the Apple App Store and was later made downloadable for Windows, and good God, it's hard. The concept is super simple. You play as a little blob, just trying to get from one side of the screen to the other. Seems easy enough, right? In fact, the first bunch of levels are pretty easy, and they give you this false sense of security. But the game has a massive difficulty spike, around level 12 to 13, and eventually gets into this literally pixel-perfect jump type game. This is a platforming game with pixel-perfect jumps, but to be honest, no one really expects indie platformers to be fair anyway. That's kind of a staple of the indie genre. So this one fits into that staple. It's insanely hard. I want to be the guy. No, I'm not saying I want to be the guy. At number 2, we have I Want to Be the Guy. And speaking of insanely hard indie platforming games, this is one. I Want to Be the Guy, the movie, the game, whatever, longest title ever. Released in 2007, this game was an homage to classic platform games like Mega Man, Metroid, and Castlevania. Like the games it's paying homage to, I Want to Be the Guy is crazy hard, but unlike the games it's paying homage to again, this game is crazy unfair. You get killed out of nowhere by stupid things like clouds, apples, trees, spikes that shoot out of the wall without warning. You name it, it can kill you. Everything is a hazard in this game. It is virtually impossible to do it on the first try, and not many people have actually beaten the game start to finish. It's more than deserving of the second spot on this list. This game honestly is nuts. Okay, here we are at number 1. You guys know the game. You know the name of the game. Guess what the number 1 spot holds. Let me know on Twitter in the comment section if you got it. And yeah, we went there. Mario Party. Mario Party is a great game. It's one of the funnest games ever made, but holy hell, is it unfair. How many times have you been in the lead the entire game just for your opponent to get lucky in the last few turns, get a bunch of stars, and comes in first, and you end up dead last? I get that a lot of Mario Party is left up to chance, and that luck is a main component of the game itself. But you can't tell me with a straight face that Mario Party is a fair game. Again, this has nothing to do with how fun the game is, but in my opinion, Mario Party is hands down one of the most unfair games ever made. Literally, everyone who has ever played this game has experienced the scenario I described above, where the last player comes in first and the first player gets annihilated. It almost acts like it does it on purpose. So there you have it, my friends. Those are 10 of the most unfair games ever made. Let us know where we got it right or wrong. There is a playlist below with all the other top 10s that go up every single day. And there is a link below if you would like to suggest any future top 10 ideas that you may like to see on the channel. Be sure to be subscribed. Drop a like on the video. We'll be back tomorrow with a brand new video. Thanks for watching.